Angela Griffiths. I actually went live, how many months ago was it about? When you were here last, about 4 or 5 months?
October.
October, yeah. So we did a live with Angela and she shared lots of her knowledge. And she's here again to do one of her courses. So she's doing it at Panorama and at Pet Wellness Works,
yep.
right?
Yep.
And I'm actually lecturing for her on one of the days, which I'm excited for. So it's great to have her here again. We are also launching Hydro webinar this week. So some of you maybe have already registered for the lecture that's going to happen on Tuesday, which Angela's going to be doing. You can maybe tell us what you're going to be lecturing about, so people can know what they're going to hear.
We're going to be talking about the forgotten aspects of hydrotherapy. Really, the fact that everything you do affects every part of the dog, and really thinking about our responsibilities for knowledge and training, and how that impinges on what we do with our hydrotherapy treatment. So covering quite a wide area is a good introduction webinar, I think, to show the standards that we're going to be bringing to the lectures for the rest of the year.
Yeah, awesome. And that's actually a free webinar, so if you guys, you must just go to onlinepethealthhydrowebinar.com and you can register for free. The spaces are limited, and I think it's nearly quite full up, but we will extend it so that you can get the recording if you're not able to fit in with the live. So I wanted to chat to Angela a little bit about water quality. So the first month we've loaded quite a lot of information about water testing and water quality, and having chatted to Angela, I realized that I really did not know a lot about water quality in my underwater treadmill. I was very lucky that I had great staff who did, but me myself, I actually really knew very, very little. And I was actually chatting to a colleague of mine the other day, and after chatting to Angela, I was quite horrified because I realized all the things that you have to do. And this colleague said to me, no, she doesn't put any chemicals in her water, she just uses the pump and filtrates a lot. And I thought if Angela had to hear this, she would completely freak. So Angela, okay, and now this is going to surprise you, but Angela actually takes a testing kit with her when she goes on holiday.
I do.
So she doesn't
on the
swim.
side here, isn't it? So,
I see it there, yeah.
I
see it. She doesn't swim in a pool unless she's tested the water.
Yeah, and so, I'm not madly OCD about most things in life, but I just know too much now, and it's just too worrying. I'm not going in a pool unless I know it's safe.
So if the water is like shiny and looks all sparkly, it's not necessarily clean, right?
No, it can be absolutely bacteria soup. Basically, you have no idea how shiny and clean and see-through the water is. Gives you no indication of what microorganisms are alive in that water.
So I think for me, if I see a pool, if it's like murky and green, then obviously I know that it's dirty or it's potentially unsafe. But if I see sparkly, shiny water, I mean, my gut feeling is that the water's fine.
But it's conversely true as well. It could be a bit cloudy, maybe slightly green because you've got too much algae, but actually if the disinfection level is good, although it doesn't look good, it's fairly safe. But if it's shiny and clean, as we say, and there's no disinfection, which is basically bromine and chlorine, and it depends how you work, which you prefer, if you haven't got that disinfection for the kind of work we do, then you're going to have a problem at some point.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are the potential things that could happen if your water quality is not adequate?
Okay, so there's two parts to water quality. There's getting the chemistry right, so the pH and total alkalinity, the hardness of the water is right, because if that's not right, then your bromine and chlorine can't work well. So everything has to be within the safe parameters. And in most countries, there's a legal framework that everyone who runs a pool, that people go in, members of the public go into, that have to match up to. So there's standards. They're pretty well the same worldwide.
Yeah.
So all of those chemistry things need to be good, and you don't really even have to understand them. You just have to do things like a recipe in the right order to get it to work. But you have to do it, and you have to do those tests, and you have to be checking all the time that your water is neither corrosive nor scale forming, which is to do with the hardness and to do with your pH, all of those things. But apart from that, because that protects your equipment and it means that your water is in balance, but the most important thing is that you've got disinfection and that you have a good system for providing that. And that could be manual, it could be because of an automatic dosing system, you could have UV to boost up on it, or some other automatic systems, but the main thing is you must have disinfection levels correct.
So if I think back to like pools, and I think when I was a child, I can remember my dad, he would go and have all these little kits like you've got and test the water, and I remember getting really excited because he would say like, we're either going to put chlorine or we're going to put acid in. And I remember those are the two things, that we had this like big 5-litre acid thing, and then we had the HTH, that's what we call it here.
I don't
chlorine.
know. Oh,
it's
okay,
brand,
chlorine,
called HTH. And you know, when I think about it, you know, it actually seemed quite simple then, but sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. So like when you're talking now about pH and water balance and all of that, so it's not really just about putting the chlorine in or just disinfecting, because you need everything else to be in. Everything has to be, like the whole thing has to work smoothly. Everything has to be in balance. It's not just checking one thing. You're checking a whole lot of things to see that everything is working well together. Correct?
You are, but yes, you are, and it all interrelates as well. But the thing is that it doesn't have to be massively complicated. A lot of the things that I just mentioned, you can check weekly. You're just checking your parameters, because those change depending on the kind of water that's being supplied from your system. You can have very hard water, very soft water, and those things affect. But the daily checks, the most important ones, are still that HTH, as you call it, chlorine or bromine.
So now you put together a really, really awesome checklist, which you guys can actually download for free. There's a link, it should be in the description for the live Facebook now. So just click on there, you can download it for free. And I must say, when I looked at that, I thought, okay, this makes things look a whole lot simpler to me now. Like it's sort of a little bit of like direction. This is what I need to do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, monthly basis, and a yearly basis. And then from there you can sort of decide.
And from that also, you know, if you're not doing any of those things on that checklist, that's why we've just given it away free, so that you've got that info. You know, my interest is making sure people and dogs are safe when they go in the water, and protecting our professional reputation. So you've got the checklist, but the other thing you must do is record your results. Because it gets simpler. It's awful when you first start a hydro pool, because everything's moving about wildly and you're putting in too much of this or that, and you're seesawing. And actually, very gentle treatment and checking and retesting really works. And what you need to be doing is recording your results, because then you start to see a pattern. If I put this much in, this is what happens. And so it is a skill and an art, and it comes with time as well.
Yeah, and experience.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, if somebody had to put, say, for example, too much chlorine in, what are the dangers for the hydrotherapy staff as well as the patients that are going to be swimming in the pool?
But the major thing is you're going to have a really strong smell of chlorine, and we don't want to be breathing chlorine gas, because chlorine gas is damaging to your soft tissues, lining of your nose, your lining of your lungs. Anywhere that comes into contact with a wet surface like your eyes, it's going to cause burning and irritation, really high levels. You know, chlorine gas was used as a chemical weapon. You know, we see that happening. So it's a really safe method of disinfection, but you need to be at the right levels.
Yeah. And you were saying that, we were chatting, and you were saying that those little dip tests, they only go up to 10 parts per million. Yeah. So if you were at 20 parts per million, you wouldn't really know. So
you just
know when it's over 10.
You just know you're over 10.
And so it could be dangerously over.
Massively.
Which you wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't know. And what you've got to do if you overdose is you've got to dump water, basically. And obviously Cape Town's got a drought, so we don't want to be dumping water ever. So we need to be very careful with our amounts we add. But yeah, the only way to remove that chlorine or remove that bromine is to dump water and dilute what you've got, or wait until it dissipates is used up with the algae and microorganisms. But that could take quite some time. What you must never ever do is open your pool or use your treadmill when you're not within those safe parameters.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, Angela's got some awesome videos that we've already put onto the Hydro webinar website, and it explains exactly how to calculate how much you should be putting in. All about shocking. I mean, I've learned so much. really learned so much. So yeah, thanks for those awesome videos. So yeah, check your checklist, have a look and see, are you doing all those daily checks? And if you want to learn more information, you can join the Hydro webinar membership. And we're really looking forward to Tuesday.
Yeah,
so, yeah. And just coming over to my house. to do the webinar from my house.
Yeah, so I hope I'm getting a glass of wine at the end of being invited to do a live webinar under pressure.
For sure.
Okay.
Great.
Right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to download that PDF and follow us on Facebook. Maybe this week I can convince Angela to go live again.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be
maybe
fun.
Do something, something maybe at the course.
Yeah, I think so. We can talk to some of our students and show you what we're teaching them and how we're all working together. So yeah, I'm here for 2 weeks and I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Cheers,